on our top story. And what would military drones being based on the Cocus Islands actually mean for our ties to the US? I'm joined by Dr. Adam Lockyer, lecturer in US politics and foreign policy at the US Studies Centre at the University of Sydney. Adam Lockyer, thank you very much for your time on Newsday. What do we know of the capabilities of the US with drone aircraft, and just how significant would a base be on the Cocus Islands?
Right, good to be with you, Selena. So the drones that have been mentioned are the Global Hawk. The Global Hawk can stay airborne for up to 36 hours and has a range of about 25,000 kilometres. So a base on the Cocos Islands would mostly be used to patrol up in through the Indonesian archipelago, to patrol over the Malacca Straits, and can also reach right up into the South China Sea, which is of particular importance to the United States and wants to keep an eye on it. So the Global Hawk mentioned is mostly for reconnaissance and observation. It has very powerful sensors and can see infrared through all sorts of weather conditions and from a very high altitude. These are a bit different from the drones that have been used in Pakistan and Somalia, which are the Reaper drones, and these are more the hunter-killer drones that can fire missiles. So the drones that are mentioned in the reports currently being released are mostly for observation and reconnaissance rather than to destroy Al-Qaeda suspects with missiles.
And the US is interested in the Cocos Islands because of its position, and the lease on Diego Garcia is due to expire shortly.
That's right. So the lease on Diego Garcia is going to lapse in 2016, and so they're already starting to build up a network of drone bases as a replacement. So they've already opened up a base in the Seychelles, in a very recent one in Ethiopia, which are being used to patrol around Somalia and to kill Al-Qaeda suspects, as well as to patrol for piracy. So in addition to those, they're also looking towards the east of the Indian Ocean, and the Cocos would be a prime location for that.
Now, we know the first US Marines are due to arrive in Darwin perhaps as early as next week. The plan for the Cocos Islands would further strengthen military ties with the US. It's not really surprising given talks over recent years and that announcement last year by the President.
Absolutely. So the 2,500 Marines that are going to be based at Robinson Barracks up in Darwin were always going to be a very first step. The end positioning of more US forces in Australia, nobody really knows, but it's likely that there's going to be permanent ships based at HMAS Sterling, and also the permanent stationing of American manned and unmanned aircraft. Probably the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter, which Australia is also purchasing, and they'll be able to use the same bases and be able to operate interoperability.
Also not surprising today to see Stephen Smith saying that everyone's getting them ahead of themselves, isn't it? Because it's really a tactic, isn't it?
That's right. So there's always a long time horizon for all of these things. So even if there's only discussions now, it's going to be years off before the first drones and the first American aircraft are operating from Australian soil. But the discussions are already well ahead of probably where Stephen Smith is hinting they're at currently. So this is a way of softening up the electorate. I know that before the announcement of the station of the 2,500 Marines in Darwin, there was great concern within the government about how the Australian public would react to this, and the Australian public seemed to have largely just shrugged, and it's gone off without a whimper. So I think that things will start to escalate from here, because there hasn't really been the backlash that the government was concerned there could possibly be.
Dr. Adam Lockyer, thanks very much for your insight and time on Newsday. Appreciate it.
Thank you.